With just under a month remaining in office, President Joe Biden is taking action while still in the White House. He has taken a number of acts when it comes to his presidential privilege of pardoning. A recent request by Assemblyman Pat Burke is shining a light on a case right here in Western New York involving smuggling marijuana across the border. Good evening, everyone. I'm Claudine Ewing. Channel 2's Andy Payton brings us that story tonight.
No one's going to sit here and argue that smuggling marijuana across the border isn't stupid.
I fully recognize that was a crime, should have been punished for that crime.
But to get 25 years for something that now for the most part is decriminalized, that's where Assemblyman Patrick Burke has a problem.
People get less time for murder and rape and violence.
46-year-old Muhammad Taher of Lackawanna has spent the last 11 years behind bars, serving a 25-year sentence for running what authorities called a multifaceted criminal enterprise from 2005 to 2007 that used young female drivers in an effort to evade border agents and smuggle marijuana from Canada into U.S. cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Buffalo.
What about this situation makes you say that this man should have a lesser sentence?
Oh, it's purely the excessive length of the sentence.
A sentence Burke is now petitioning to bring to an end, sending this letter to President Biden asking him to commute Taher's federal sentence and effectively free him.
Nonviolent marijuana dealer should not be in prison for 25 years, period.
The Assemblyman also pointing to the fact that marijuana has been decriminalized in all three of the states Taher smuggled to.
We do still have an individual who was transporting marijuana across the border, right, which is still illegal. Should that not be taken into consideration?
Oh, of course it should be. I don't care if you're smuggling dish soap across the border. If you're smuggling things across the border, that's a crime. He served 11 years in prison for that, that's not nothing. That's no small feat.
It comes amid a wave of clemency by the Biden administration just weeks ahead of the president's exit from office, with Biden commuting roughly 1,500 sentences and pardoning 39 others, marking the largest single day of clemency in modern history.
And frankly, if President Biden, is unwilling to, then I hope, President-elect Trump will then consider taking a look at it.
No one's going to sit here and say that smuggling marijuana across the border isn't stupid. But Assemblyman Burke hopes President Biden will see 11 years is more than enough.
Very interesting story. Now, Andy, people here are familiar with the Lackawanna 6 case. I know you weren't here for that, but one of the members was a guy by the name of Yassine Taher. That is his brother. Do you think that case has any role in this?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Assemblyman Burke brought that up, and he even said that he felt that it did play a role when it came time to Muhammad be sentencing the first time. He felt that that association to his brother certainly played a factor in why we saw that 25 years, such a significant sentence there. But at the same time, he expressed that he feels Muhammad shouldn't be tied to his brother, right? Because he's not his brother. He shouldn't be held accountable for the actions of someone else. And that's something he certainly hopes continues to be the case when this commute is possibly considered.
All right. Andy, really interesting case. It's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out because people in this community are familiar with those names and that family.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Andy, thanks for bringing us that story on Channel 2 News tonight.